You're listening to the Bearded Theologians podcast, hosted by Zach Bechtold and Matt Franks. If you'd like to learn more about the Bearded Theologians, you can go online at beardedtheologians.com, where we have past podcasts, blogs, and a couple items for sale. So check us out, beardedtheologians.com. Thank you for listening, and enjoy this week's show. You're listening to the Bearded Theologians podcast, hosted by Matt Franks
and Zach Bechtold.
So this week on the podcast, we're diving back into Exodus again. I mean, 2 straight weeks of Exodus, Zach. I mean, like,
it's almost like a series.
It's kind of a record for us to do the Bible or Old Testament 2 weeks in a row. We haven't done that since the bearded psalm thing we did 2 years ago. So this week we're looking at Exodus 20, 1 through 4, 7 through 9, and 12 through 20. For those of you that actually know what that is the Exodus version of the 10 Commandments. And so, Zach, I'll let you dive into that to kick us off.
Yeah, of course. And the reason why we're going to skip around here 1 to 4, 7 to 9, 12 through 20 is the lectionary leaves out the explanations of why don't do these things, right? So you're just going to get the straight 10 commandments here for the most part. So if you'll hear the word. I'm the Lord your God who brought you out of Egypt and out of the house of slavery. You must not have other gods before me. Do not make an idol of yourself. No form whatsoever of anything in the sky above or on the earth below or in the waters under the earth. Do not use the Lord your God's name if it were of no significance. The Lord won't forgive anyone who uses his name that way. Remember the Sabbath day and treat it as holy. 6 days you may work and do all your tasks, but the seventh day is the Sabbath day of the Lord your God. Don't work on it. 12. Honor your father and mother so that your life will be long on the fertile land that the Lord your God is giving you. Do not kill. Do not commit adultery. Do not steal. Do not testify falsely against your neighbor. Do not desire or take your neighbor's house. Do not desire or take your neighbor's wife, male or female servant, ox, donkey, or anything else that belongs to your neighbor. When all the people witnessed the thunder and lightning, the sound of the horn, and the mountain smoking, the people shook with fear and stood at a distance. They said to Moses, "You speak to us and we listen, but don't let God speak to us or we'll die." Moses said to the people, "Don't be afraid, because God has come only to test you and make sure you are always in awe of God and that you do not sin."
So, Zach,
Matt, what? Let me ask you the questions.
No, I don't.
Matthew.
I want the questions today. I'm going to talk over you the entire time.
Wait, hold on.
Nope. You go. Nope.
This seems
vaguely
relevant. So Matt, when you hear the 10 Commandments, certainly something, whether you're in or outside of the church, you've at least heard the name, the 10 Commandments, right? But we have a pretty good story wrapped around them here. You know, it's not Charlton Heston, right? But at least it's coming from the scripture. So what out of these 10 Commandments catches your attention first?
So I'll be honest, that for me in the 10 Commandments, one of the things that I have to let go of is the Charlton Heston movie.
I know.
It's one that even growing up in a non-Christian, I mean, we were a non-faith-based home, meaning that we didn't go to church regularly. I mean, we just weren't it wasn't part of our identity.
Mm-hmm.
But that was something we watched. By God, if that was on that one, it was always Easter, I think, is when they would show it, or Passover the week before Easter. I can't remember how they did it, but by God, if it was on, we had to watch it and had to endure it. And and so there's that memory. And then there's the memory when I was a youth director and we had a sponsor want to show the kids the movie. And I said, okay. And the sponsor getting mad because of the color commentary the youth added to it.
Nice.
The youth director didn't help either, but and so I come to the table with that in mind. And I think sometimes when we read scripture, especially scripture that what I call is felt-based scripture, meaning this is a felt board scripture for those of you that remember that or have those memories of felt board faith when the Sunday school teacher, and I know they're still being used today. This is a felt board faith conversation that sometimes we forget what it really says. And I think there's some power in these words. Now, granted, these are commandments. These are the things that we were required to follow. And we know that when Jesus, flips it, he keeps the spirit of the law, but changes the actual command. So but when we dive into this and we dive into what Jesus is getting at here, when Jesus comes at it, now granted, that's later, and I don't want to impose the two. And so I want to go back to the text. When we see what God is speaking to these people, we suck at these, let's be honest. And we truly don't follow them. That line about coveting, of course, I'm using the Revised Standard Version, so it uses the word coveted. And so how well are we really doing that? And, man, we just suck at these. We got to get better.
Well, so let's go here. Let's break them down. Just state them again. Sorry, trying to find my place. You must not have other gods before me. Don't make idols of yourself or anything else. Don't use the Lord's name in vain. Keep the Sabbath day. Honor your father and mother. Do not kill. Do not commit adultery. Do not steal. Do not testify falsely against your neighbor. Don't lie, essentially. And do not covet. Do not desire what your neighbor has. Anything. And you're right, we do suck at those, and we suck so bad at them that as they move through scripture here, they define these 680, 90 times, right? They take 10 and make a ridiculous amount of number out of these because we're bad at them, right? We can't keep the 10, so let's make it almost 700 laws when you break it out. But they're so simple, right? And you pointed to Jesus a minute ago of Jesus even makes it more simple of love God with everything you have, love your neighbor, love yourself. And, that's what these come down to, but we're bad at it. We're just really bad at it.
And I find it interesting. You would think that you shall not murder, you should not commit adultery, you should not steal, that those would be the first part. Mm-hmm. But what's really interesting is that when God spoke these words, and please, take that in as an interpretation. When God spoke these words, first off, God is a jealous God, and he says, no other gods besides me. That's it. Then he says, don't make yourself an idol. And so I think about this, and I think about where we are right now, and some of the problems and things that we deal with have to deal with that one right there. And how we make ourselves an idol, or how we make something an idol that we worship that's not the thing we should be worshiping. And we've already bypassed number one and number two. And so if you're using this as a bulleted list of a checklist of how well you're doing in your life and your faith, if you did it as a stair step thing, there, could you really make it through the first two before you even get to the others?
Right. Well, and if you take them in that bullet order, it's love God, take care of yourself, take care of your neighbor, right? And the thing I find fascinating about these are the first couple: love God. Here, don't do these things. Or, make God first. Don't make idols. There's explanation there. Here's what you don't do. Don't take the Lord's name in vain. Here's how you don't misuse this. Take a Sabbath day, rest, and here's how you rest. Honor your father and mother because this is what happens. And then very quickly, hey, don't kill. That's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Don't commit adultery, pretty straightforward. I mean, you don't get explanations for anything else because they're pretty self-explanatory, and yet we don't get it. We miss the boat on these things often.
Well, okay, so here's the interesting thing is, okay, so this is something I'm reading this with an interesting thing, an interesting perspective on it. This is hitting me. So verse 8, remember the Sabbath day. And so I find it interesting. So the New Revised says, "Remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy." Of course, it's the same thing in the King James for those of you that like really want to dive. So that means like that's relatively like semi-relatively close for English speakers. Now, granted, I don't do Greek or Hebrew, so I don't really like. I really would like to. That would be something I have to spend a lot more time than I have on the podcast to spend to flesh that out. But one of the things I note here, it doesn't say anything about rest. It just says, "Remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy." And like, and I know like Sabbath, strives rest, but like that keep it holy is what's speaking to me right here.
Well, it does say rest. It says don't do any work on it.
Well, right. That's the next one. Yeah. Well,
right. But that's the thing, remembering that it's a holy day, or that these are holy moments, right? This was God's prescription for people. They're coming out of slavery, right?
Right.
And so this is God's reminder to them of, hey, do you remember just a bit ago when you guys were in Egypt and it was slavery and you worked every day, all the time? Now that you're going out on your own, remember 6 days, do that thing. Do what you need to do, but take a day, don't work, and don't allow your sons and daughters, your servants, your animals, give everyone a day off, because that's how we treat people. Because remember how you were treated as a slave? It wasn't good. It was killing you, quite literally. And so now that you're going and doing this and setting up your society, right, your communities, and you're going to have these things, don't forget how awful that was. Take this day because it is holy and treat it as such.
Yeah. I don't know. The keep it holy part, I think, spoke to me more than anything. Because I think sometimes we think Sabbath and we just think rest and we don't think we do anything.
Sure.
And I really do think, like, I think this is like keep it holy definitely like is what spoke to me. I mean, man, if this is what I was preaching, I mean, dang, you could definitely have some fun this week preaching this, and with all that's going on in our world. And I understand like we can spend a whole series on just this right here.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think the thing that we do with the 10 Commandments, right? Because there's a lot of people who are passionate about the 10 Commandments. We got to keep them on buildings. We got to keep them up visible. We got to do these things. And in reality, we don't need that. We just need to live into them more. And having them on buildings and visible and here and there and wherever and fighting to keep that is not keeping the 10 Commandments. It's keeping an idea. Right, exactly. It's keeping an idea without actually doing the thing.
Yeah, so like, and that's where Moses comes in at verse 20. And he said to the people, "Don't be afraid, for God has come only to test you and to put the fear of him upon you so that you do not sin." And that fear isn't, "I'm going to scare the crap out of you." It's a fear of respect, and that you'll respect God.
Yeah, that we
definitely have tried to debunk that in the Rob Bell style, because Rob Bell was kind of the first to really lift that up. But I really do, I would hope that you have a respect for God, not a fear of God.
Right. Yeah. Fear of God is not being afraid. It's respect.
Yeah.
And there's certainly in the English language a disconnect with that, or a misunderstanding or assumption that it's to be afraid. And it's just not.
So I think a good question to land on today would be, how do you apply the 10 Commandments to your daily life? I mean, hopefully some of these come very naturally.
I would say not so much how do you apply it, but how do you be honest in where you've missed the mark?
Yeah.
Right.
No, that's good. Yeah.
Because we can say all day long, "Hey, you know what? I didn't kill anybody today. Pretty good day. Pretty good day," and yet miss the other 9. Right.
Yeah.
And so I think that would be my call to action, or my question, or where I'm going to land on it is, where in what ways have I missed the mark on some of these, and just being honest in that.
Yeah. So thank you for listening today to the Bearded Theologians podcast. And we want to encourage you to like us on Facebook and all the social medias, and to, support the podcast by giving us 5 stars and giving us a good review. That also helps get our name out there. And then we've got some really great gear. I've got masks like everybody else does, and mugs and stickers and all those fun things. And so for the Bearded Theologians, I'm Matt Franks.
I'm Zach Bechtold. Thanks for checking us out.
First, guys, I want you to subscribe and like this video and push that thumbs up.
Thank you for listening to the Bearded Theologians podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share on all social media outlets. You can check out old episodes and more information at beardedtheologians.com. Thanks for checking us out.